if you're offended, I apologize. Millennials, you're always offended. I apologize. The old generation, yeah. They're nice people. Okay,
I can't hear you all, Mark.
is that better? Okay, so do you want me to do that cheesy joke again? No? All right.
Any better it was first time.
Welcome to the Candidates Forum. We have a really big table of people here today and a good audience too. Thank you. Just some housekeeping stuff is, did anyone sit in a seat where there was a gold star? No? Well, that blew that too, because, well, whoever got the gold star won from the town a gold star. And also you get to ask the first question. But in lieu of that, we'll just leave that open. So here are our candidates. I'm just going to ask them to stand up, wave to the audience as they call their names. We are seated in order, and we are also going to do speaking order as seated. So we'll be starting from the left-hand side, moving to the right. Mayors, of course, will have the last say, and they're way down at the far end from me. They know me, that's why they want to stay away. So on my left is Jeff McKay, Dennis Perisky, Isabel Haas, Donna Danaka, Bryce Shunter, Brian Martinson, Katie Maraji, Therese, who has a last name of way too many consonants and no syllables, Yajishan, Norm Stewart, Carol Hanlon is not here, unfortunately. Stacy Prince, I believe, could not make it either, and Dave Temple could not make it. Then we are going to Herman Minderling, Judy Stenhouse, and James Wakel. Mayoralty candidates, Dan Vandermeer, Barry Sharkawi, Sasha Martins. So just as our procedures working here today is candidates will have 5 minutes to speak. And then there will be questions available for each candidate for a 5-minute period after that. Questions, I hope, will be appropriate, respectful, and if they're not, I'll probably just say next question, microphone will go to the next person. So let's keep it clean, people. And we might as well get the ball rolling. Mr. McKay, we need you a microphone. It's green cheese, good to go.
Check. All right, my name's Jeff McKay. I'm fairly new to the town, been here a few years. Electrician at Tolko, just have to turn it on. Hello? Oh, that's better.
Or worse.
There? Okay. All right, I'm an electrician at Tolko, been there for 4 years now. We've really loved the town. I'm an Albertan by birth, so love the province. I've never been a politician of any kind. This is the first time, but I really felt the need. We need some big changes, and we need to get some momentum going and get some new people in place. The town's been really great to me so far. I've enjoyed meeting everybody. Lots of, right from day one, people have been so inviting and friendly. I'd like to, I hope we have a town council that can work together. and that can represent the town's best interest. And I think our council should always leave the town better than what it inherited. So my goal is to do my best to enhance the town's image and its actual infrastructure.
That was smart. I can pull out, I'm looking for it to fire up again. Okay, here we go. Questions, anyone? No questions. Come on, guys, you can do better than that.
Every person's been beaten. I want to, this, but, Dano, been resident 37 years now. Lived in this town, worked for the county number. My question is, to all people sitting in front of us. What volunteer boards have you sat on the last 5 years without being paid for it?
Hey, good question.
Well, I've been in smaller towns. Our town was a volunteer operation, so I actually helped out with the town council when they were even clearing the streets. We actually had essentially a lot of the day-to-day jobs in my last town were volunteers. And I participated in a lot of that. We didn't have a big enough population we didn't even have a food bank. We actually did help people ourselves, but, so that was like 5 years of doing that. I've actually been a youth alternative program. I was in Calgary where we were working on educating children that were on the streets to get them back into the school system, catch them up and so they could merge back into school as they got housing. I've actually been doing trying to think of, those are the big things that I've done over the last few years.
Okay. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You lost the cats, not the ass. Follow up on your comments about wanting to mention infrastructure. Comments a little bit right that. How many vision, for example?
Well, I'd like to look at just improving. You could start with the look of like the downtown's really deteriorating and we're losing businesses, and to see what we can do to promote, get new businesses in here. They don't have to be big box because that can kill other businesses, but I'd like to try to fill some of these shops. And general aesthetics can start, the image can actually start the whole process of improvements.
60 seconds.
Oh, sorry.
60 seconds left.
Okay.
No further questions? Okay,
Going once.
going once, going twice, all gone, yeah. We'll pass the microphone to Dennis Brisky.
Well, good evening. Yeah, my name is Dennis Brisky, and it's Dennis Brisky, not Dennis Porwis. I'm third generation Canadian. My grandparents moved here in the late 20s, and we've been in High Prairie ever since. My father's going to he's 99 in a couple of days. Mother is 93. So we've been here for a while.
You're dating yourself.
I know. The reason I'm running for council is that the town of High Prairie has looked after the Brisky family pretty much all our lives. We've worked with the town and the town's worked with us. So it's my desire to give back to the community that's been so kind to us. And I would be honored to have your support on October 20th. Yeah. That's about it. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Okay, so there were some email questions. We'll just fire one off here. What strategies would you have to attract new businesses that create more jobs and support existing small business in Niagara?
First of all, we'd have to clean up the town. And I suppose taxes. And what else? There'd be. Well, for me, it'd be mostly infrastructure that I'd be interested in getting fixed.
And James's question was for all the candidates, so he wanted to know what volunteer committees he'd been on. And
Golden Walleye class.
there you go. So, oh. Okay.
This would be for everybody as you go through perhaps to address. How do you plan to work together with your other municipal counterparts to build our community and make it a welcoming, affordable place to live, that allows us to thrive rather than remain stagnant?
Can you repeat that?
How do you
When
plan?
they ask questions, could they get a mic in
Yeah,
that?
it's going over there now.
That'll make it you know.
Thanks. How do you plan to work with your other municipal counterparts that surround us, such as the county and the local school board, to work together to enhance this community and build a place where people want to come and want to stay? That is going to take more than the town. It's going to take everybody within our community. How do you plan to build those relationships?
Well, this is my first time as running for councillor, so I'd have to look into it. I'm not sure how we could do it. I'd have to talk with the MD and any other organization. So to see what direction they would like to go.
Further questions? Okay, so I think if we're going to have questions for all the candidates, let's leave those to the end when we have some spare time, and then we can just open it up to everyone speaking if they wish to speak. But for the time being, let's just go questions with the individual candidates. Sorry,
Well, yeah.
Golden Walleye.
My volunteer was the Golden Walleye Classic.
And next up, Isabel Haas.
Hi, everybody. My name is Isabel. I'd just like to share a little bit about myself. I'm actually very new to the town, so I've been living here for about 1 year. I was a travel nurse prior to this for about 3 years. I've been a nurse for 6 years now. I was working in Fairview before, as well as McLennan, which is where I currently work right now. I'm actually not from Alberta originally either. I'm from London, Ontario. I was born and raised in London, Ontario, so I was there for quite a bit of time. I've also lived downtown Toronto for a little bit. As a nurse, I've had experience in long-term care, public health, and as well as general medicine. I've also been an avid traveler, so I've actually been to about 32 countries myself, which I do believe also will be an asset to town council. I've seen how many different towns, cities, and countries operate, and I believe we can benefit from this knowledge. I have a small family here as well, and I foresee it growing. I'm running for town councillor because I care deeply about the future of this town. I feel like this town has a lot of potential. It's also why I decided to settle down here. I want to see it grow into a place where families, businesses, and young people can thrive. I was one of the youngest candidates in this election. I believe it's important to also have a voice on council that represents the next generation. I believe we also need a diverse group of councillors to advocate for everybody. There are many young people that are choosing to make High Prairie their home, just like me, and they want to see progress, opportunity, and a strong community to raise their families in. With my background as a nurse, it has taught me how to listen, lead under pressure, and advocate for people from all walks of life. As a nurse, I'm a problem solver, communicator, and collaborator, skills that translate directly into effective leadership on council. I believe I'll also bring fresh energy, a balanced perspective, and a strong commitment to ensuring that the voices of both today's residents and tomorrow's are heard at this council table. My vision for High Prairie would be to be making our community safer, stronger, and more welcoming. I know that's been a huge issue in this town from what I've heard so far. It would be nice to attract businesses and create jobs in this town as well. I also believe we do need to raise the quality of services here, like, for example, the hotels and recreation, so people stop and stay here. Let me see here. Reducing crime, I don't believe it's just about funding more enforcement. I actually believe it's about addressing root causes of homelessness and a lack of opportunity. I hope that we can improve housing availability and develop unused spaces, for example, like the YAC building. Maybe it could be into a rec center, and we can create a safe and positive outlet for families, youth, and seniors. On council, I will bring respectful communication and collaboration to overcome conflict and ensuring tax dollars are spent responsibly. Yes, I've dived deeper into politics in the past few years, and I believe the biggest impact for change can be made municipally, and I hope that we can achieve that here.
Okay, thank you. So all of the candidates, one of the things I forgot to mention was there's a fine young lady sitting there with some cards, and that's your warnings. So there's your warnings.
Don't show the red one.
Time's up is a bad thing. That means I have to come grab the mic, and I'm lazy, so I don't want to do that. Okay, questions, anyone? So another email question. Actually, we're going to leave these for the end, so everyone can answer them, and we'll pass the mic on to Donna Denaka.
Good evening, everyone, fellow candidates, mayoral candidates. My name is Donna Denaka, for those that don't know me. I've chose to run again. This will be, if reelected, this will be my 4th term on council. And my reasoning to continue or hope to get back on council is that I believe that there's been some good work that the council has done. There's definitely things that can be improved on. I believe that there needs to be some continuity in going from council to council. And every year, the issues that come up are crime, taxes, and at council level, we strive to maintain taxes and look for cost efficiencies at every chance we get. The other issue, of course, with taxes is that you have a federal government who continues to download on municipalities. Policing is one. The other issues that we have, of course, with the community is that we have limited resources. And we have to look at cost efficiencies and effectiveness at every chance that we can. I will admit that the last council session, the last 4 years have been acrimonious at best. But I believe that we did accomplish some issues that needed to be addressed. As for James's question about volunteering, before council, I volunteered with the Palliative Care Society, the Ag Society during their farm safety. And the other question regarding working with the communities that surround us, the town actually has a fairly good agreement in the ICF with the county, where we 50% of the recreation facilities, the library, and are split the fire department. Can there be improvements there? Yes. Can there be improvements in working with our the First Nations and Métis that surround us? Most definitely. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean, we've tried different ways to engage with them and with the citizens, doing forums, etc. It's kind of hit and miss, but hopefully we can achieve a little bit better communication going forward. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you. Questions? What a quiet crowd. Okay, there's the question. Big ugly guy.
The question?
What were some of the positive things that you feel that you did change while you were?
What were some of the positive things that were changed? Well, we expanded our recreation facilities for one. We got the with the help of the Buchanan Family Foundation, we got the splash park. We have the basketball and pickleball courts. Behind us here is the golf simulator that will hopefully be coming online here relatively quickly. I mean, it's really difficult to quantitatively say that these things have improved where you see minor improvements. It's like quantity versus quality. And it's really difficult to quantitatively say that this has happened because this happened. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Directly, was it from the rec director or was that an accountant?
At the gun show, we had surveys. People wanted the splash park. But we were working towards that. Some of the golf simulator, the basketball, the pickleball, that was brought forward by the new recreation CC, which has improved, as well as she's also met with some of the First Nation communities and got them on board to be able to access our facilities, the arena, the swimming pool.
So I'm gonna jump in and say, time's up. You could revisit that later on. If we have some extra time, we only have about 6 hours here tonight. Mr. Shunter.
Good evening. My name is Bryce Shunter. I'm certainly not a politician, but I've been in High Prairie for the last 25 years. I grew up in this community. My wife and I welcomed a baby into the family last year, and it's caused to reflect on what the future holds. And when I think about communities that I feel really great about raising a family in, unfortunately, High Prairie is not at the top of my list. I think we need to see some changes, and I think that the community agrees with me that we need to see change. And I'm really proud that we have so many people sitting up here today willing to fight for that change. The MGA talks about a duty to provide good government. And to me, a core component of that is honest and open leadership. I think the existing council makes too many decisions without clear communication. And that's not how local government is supposed to work. People deserve to know what's going on and why decisions are being made. Council also has a fiscal responsibility. We need to start managing our town's finances wisely and with full transparency. That means budgets that are clear, detailed, and driven by long-term value, not short-term optics. In 2025, the town budgeted to spend 1.5 million more than it will bring in. Now, fancy government accounting says that you can't call that a deficit, But common sense says that when you spend more than you make, you're running a deficit. At home, I have a sustainability plan that the town commissioned in 2010. And inside of that sustainability plan, it talks about a lot of the issues that we're still experiencing today. Crime, stagnant growth, need for more recreational services. And I'd encourage everyone to reach out to myself or the CAO for a copy of that sustainability plan. Because all of the ideas that everybody up here is pitching today, they're not new ideas. They're the same issues, the same problems we've been experiencing for the last 15 years. And very little has been done to improve upon. And I'd encourage you all to think about that before voting the incumbents back in for another term. We have a wonderful pool of fresh minds sitting up here today, and a lot of people here are working for change. This morning, I wrote a 30-minute speech and then I cut it down to 5 minutes. So I threw up my platform on a website. You can go to briceshunter.com. And it talks about my experiences in the community. It tells a few stories about my lived experiences in the community. I think it clarifies why I feel the way I do. And it tells you what I'd work towards if I was elected. I think that's it. We'll move on to questions. Most people know me from Pops. Home hardware. I invite everybody to stop by for a coffee anytime. I'm there 6 days a week, every day but Sunday. I'm always happy to chat, answer any questions you might have. We had a question about, what was it? Volunteerism. So I don't volunteer much. I'm a busy guy, which is bad to say when I'm sitting up here asking for another job. I give back to the community in other ways. We've donated to the gun club every year for the last since the gun show was a thing. We've donated every year. We support that program. We also donate to the Star Sycamores hockey tournament and everything else across the community. Everything you see in the community, there's usually a Pops logo saying, "Hey, we supported this in some sense." I also sit on the Citizens on Patrol. I sit in on their meetings. I think crime is an issue in High Prairie. Break and enters are up 56%, I think the RCMP reported. And Citizens on Patrol, they have some good ideas that council needs to do a better job of listening to them. We had another question from Tammy about growth in the community. I think the town, the MGA talks about a duty to work collaboratively with our neighbors. And we do really good with that when it comes to the county. But when it comes to other communities, we should be inviting chiefs and leaders from other communities to pool resources, share ideas, and discuss ways we can help each other. We don't do much of that right now, and I don't see us making much effort to do more of it. High Prairie is an economic hub for 9,000 people, and there's only 2,500 people in town, but we service 9,000 people. And if we want to continue to be that economic hub, we need to be taking all 9,000 people's opinion into account. But
Okay, thank you. That pretty much wraps up the time anyhow. So Brian Martinson.
Good evening. My name is Brian Martinson, and back in the early 70s, I guess it was, I graduated from school and I got a job with Alberta Environment, stayed with them for 17 years surveying. And then in 1991, a job came open with the town of High Prairie, and I applied for it and I received the job, worked for the town for 26, 27 years, went through numerous CAOs before I became one, had a number of councils that I served under as development officer, public works foreman, CAO, and these guys make me nervous as hell. They all got papers here and they're writing, and I got nothing. Anyways, I decided to throw my name in a hat because I believe I sat back after I retired and I volunteered for the golf course for the last 4 years, weed whacking. Anyways, besides that, I volunteered for the Elks and the Crown and Anchor, and I'm currently going to be volunteer coach for minor hockey. anyways, that's pretty much it. I've decided to change, pass it up in my life and become a politician if I do get voted in, and hopefully it all goes well.
Okay, thank you. Questions for Brian, anyone? We'll pass the mic along. Katie Marachi.
Hello, my name is Katie Morochi. I moved to Highbury in 2018, and I was only supposed to live here for maximum 5 years. That was the deal with my husband. But there's no way that you could convince me to move now. I am originally from British Columbia, but I have fallen in love with the northern Albertan way of life. High Prairie, in particular, has such a close and neighborly community that I really, it's a place where I want to raise my kids in. My kids are 6, 5, and 1.5. And over the last 7 years, we have gotten super involved in community groups and made lots of friends and connections. With that said, though, having lived here, we could see a lot of room for improvement for our town. But I view those as opportunities. One of the areas I think our town has an opportunity to improve is the challenge that we face with our staffing shortfalls in public sectors, teachers, policing, in the healthcare sector. And I think that requires a long-term retention strategy in order to attract professionals and their families and keep professionals and their families. They're essential for our town to thrive. I want to be a counselor for our town because I want to be part of the development and the growth that I see starting to happen. And I think that three of the main pillars for us to focus on if we want to achieve this retention is through recreation, quality of life, programming opportunities for our families, for the professionals that do come here and their families that stay here with them, improving local businesses, so providing security, improving the look of our downtown core, providing safety for investors to want to open their businesses here, as well as housing. So housing is a huge one. So while we're here, we are housing relates to the crime, I think. I think that we need opportunity to improve some of the derelict housing stock that we have in town. I think it only attracts and invites the crime that we are seeing to our properties. And so I think that is an area that we could improve is the overall safety and security of our neighborhoods. Prior to moving to High Prairie, my experience that I think is applicable as town councillor is I served as the president of a very large nonprofit based in Vancouver that worked for advocacy and lobbying for post-secondary students. I also sat as a board governor for the Vancouver Island University, which is responsible for the administration and the financial health of the university. And I think those two experiences would relate to municipal government. To address a couple questions that were addressed to the group, my board experience in the last 5 years that was unpaid would be at present helping the Gymnastics Association get off the ground again. I think it's important, like I said, with recreation, that we have a lot of options for our young families. And so I've been working with a group of very motivated parents to get the Gymnastics Association off the ground. I also serve as a trustee of the Municipal Library, but there is an honorarium with that. So I don't know if you count that as a paid. Okay. So I've been doing that since I've moved here. I've been serving in that role for 2 terms. Was there another question that was for the whole, or are we saving that to the end?
Just working with counterparts.
Okay. Okay. Hmm. Sorry, there was a bit more to that question, wasn't there? Working with.
Just how would you work with the counterparts in the other governments?
Oh, I see. Like municipalities. Okay. Yeah, I think there's like lots of opportunity. I've seen already in the past year a lot of improvements in our town and our recreational programming, and you see more families coming here, but not necessarily staying here. And I think it's important that we work closely with the MD and the other communities who use our town as for a lot of their services. And so I think that in order for us to keep those services and attract new services, we need as town councilors to provide some guarantees for our local businesses and for our communities to be able to access those services safely and consistently.
Okay, thank you. Decision.
There's gonna be more fun.
No.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight with you. I hope to answer a few questions, and if you're able to get to know me. For anyone that doesn't know me, or my last name is Tracy Assission. I have made High Prairie my home and community now for 30 years. I grew up in the city of Edmonton, and came from a family that farmed in Northeast Alberta in the Smoky Lake area. During my lands and forestry work, or during my career, I've worked in various communities, starting in Rocky Mountain House from the far south, and mostly in northern Alberta now. I have experience in both provincial work as a leader in my department, and now last 4 years as municipal government. And I feel this is what gives me the ease to understand, navigate, and work in the government environment for you. With my understanding, I have a good feel for what it takes to lobby for what we need, know the systems, improve our community smartly and wisely for right now, and also in the future, and especially in the future, and provide leadership while providing what you want, listening for our community to prosper and grow. And most importantly, take action. I am proud to have served as councillor and most recently as deputy mayor, where I feel I have just begun the work needed to grow our community and to progress. I would like the opportunity to carry forth my experience now and keep learning to provide continuity with the good initiatives that I feel I have started and our council has started, or with council, the past 4 years. I have been involved in the Big Lakes and Town of High Prairie Health Attraction and Retention Committee. This has attracted some new doctors and healthcare professionals. I've had the opportunity to take the doctors around, show them what our community has to offer, from the schools to the new recreation that we have now. That's very important, not just to attract new families, but also to retain and keep people here. And that goes not just families, it goes for single people as well. They come to the community, they get to know the community and the people, which we have some awesome people here. And then maybe they'll even get married and stay. I'm currently on the new provincial Regional Health Authority for a 1-year term. I really look forward to continuing that because I feel that healthcare, especially up in the north, is very important for us. I've been with the family FCSS, Family and Social Services, of providing much used community services, and I've really gained really good understanding of the services that provides and the importance of that as well. Also, I've been on the High Prairie Advisory Committee and also County of Big Lakes and the Town Intermunicipal Framework Review, which I've really learned a lot and has really been really key to, I guess, really showcase how the town of High Prairie and the county have really come together, really worked together to accomplish a lot there. I have a passion and drive to see High Prairie flourish, as this is my home, and to lead growth and development. And also to continue to act on important initiatives that, like I mentioned, we started, and build our community, our businesses, and make our community a place where people want to come and visit, come to work, grow a family, and invite others, because the quality of life we have here, and the improvements that we're going to make so we go into the future, and not the far into the future, in a short-term future. Also bring amenities that encourage local buyers here. We're sitting on Highway 2. We have a huge surrounding area around us. So that's really key to building a strong and a community, strong community. And I really see us as actually, we could be a hub of the area here. No question there. There's lots more work to do, and I really look forward to, if I get the opportunity, to carry that work forward. Okay, I'm going to look and see what that other couple questions were, Trail.
To be quite honest, you're pretty much used up your time.
Oh, okay. I was going to talk on the volunteer groups. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We'll pass along to Norman Stewart.
Hello. Oh,
Terry's played a trick on you, turned it off.
you turned it on. Hello. I'm going to say hello and Tansei, which is Cree, because we borrow this territory from the First Nation folks, and I'm thinking of that too. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Norman Stewart. My wife is right there. She's Tracy Stewart. She's the pastor at the Nazarene Church. So that's, maybe you've seen us if you've come for a free meal at the church. You're always welcome to do that. She's also the school bus driver that drives like 40 little orangutans to the schools all around town. So she puts up with kids. So that's great. Anyway, yeah, they're great. Anyway, okay, I'm a young senior, a young retired person. I volunteer with youth. I'm a youth leader at the church. I'm also teach Sunday school because that's fun, and I also volunteer at Big Lakes Christian Academy, where there's 14 young folks that I help, with their reading and all that sorts of other stuff. So that's cool. I'm a small C conservative, probably a big C conservative too. But I'm not radically conservative. I'm sort of try to find common ground with others. Yeah. I was thinking of 3 words that describe why I'm running and what I think is what it's about. The first word I have is listening. I want to connect with you. And so over the next 19 days, I'm going to spend time in coffee shops and other places that, and you can contact me. It's Norman Stewart Town Council at gmail.com. It's all lowercase. It's NORMEN STEWART TOWNCOUNCIL at gmail.com. And so you can ask me questions, or we can connect and go for coffee or something like that. The second word I have is responsible, and that I'm thinking of that we have to be responsible with your money, your tax money. And so we have to ask the question every time we go to spend money, we need to go, is this good for the community, or is this a particular something that might be for an individual or a small group, but we need to think about the whole community. We need to spend carefully. Back in the day, I lived in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. That's where I grew up. We had a mayor and a council that decided to pave the alley to their house, to the mayor's house. I don't think that was a very good idea. Nobody else had a paved alley in their yard there. So I just think that we have to pay attention to what's good for the entire community and not be a particular interest. The other word is optimistic. When I arrived in this town a couple of years ago, I'm pretty new. There was a heavy smoke, as you remember, a couple of years ago, forest fires, really bad. Everything was gray and you could hardly breathe sometimes. And I felt like, wow, why am I here? But the next day, the smoke cleared, the sun came out, and it's just, I love this place. I also got to meet people in businesses and the post offices and different places. And I was treated nicely and welcomed. And I feel very much part of this community. So I'm optimistic. I think that also means that together, you and me and the council working together, we can make good choices and I'm optimistic that we will, in 4 years from now, be even prouder and happier with our community. So that's kind of what I said, and happy to have questions or whatever.
We'll just move along and we'll have people ask questions later on.
Thank you.
Herman Minder.
Okay, insurance works. Good. Couple of quick things. People ask who I am or what I am. A lot of people don't know who I am. I originally came to High Prairie back in 2008. So going back quite a bit now. I've been in and out of here. We've owned the same house since then. In 2008, I came here, but originally I come from Southern Ontario. I have a military background. I was 21 years in the Air Force at the end when I got out. But then I became a public servant. I did another 6-7 years working with the D&D still at that time. From there, I went into old age seniors housing in Medicine Hat. I was 7 years down there at the Cypress View Foundation, which is not unlike the Hart housing here, Hart River housing. From there, I got an opportunity to go up, travel to the Yukon, and I did go up there. That was my first kick at municipal government as the treasurer for the town and then the CAO. The person who dragged me up there dragged me down here to High Prairie in 2008. Took him 2.5 years to talk me into it, but I'm glad he did. We still keep on close first name basis. So we use it. SR used to say we always use all 5 fingers when we wave at each other. Since 2008, I've been back and forth a few times here, working for the town, twice permanently, and then twice since I retired. I filled in for the CAO vacancy here, helping the town council out, fill in a vacancy, and also help to hire the next people coming in. A lot of people who don't know me in town, I am the Mr. Griswold of the community. I'm the person that has the Halloween and Christmas decorations down in the southeast end. So that's me. So with volunteer work, that's a lot of my volunteer work, but the volunteer work I do nowadays, my wife, 51 years now. She put a lot of time into me when I was working running around doing my thing in the military and also working for municipalities. There's a lot of volunteer work back in those days. So since retiring, I've spent most of my time putting back work for her because she's now the boss. By what I bring to council, I have a good understanding, having worked in the business and having worked with a lot of councillors, mayors, Reeves, I've both done the visited the community, town types, and the counties. What do I offer council? I have had a lot of training along with the councilors I've been at the time. And the one thing I think council needs is to be able to work together. That's something that's sadly gone astray, and not just here at High Prairie, a lot of places. People like to stand up sometimes and get their name known for something, or some people just don't want to contribute to the work that needs to be done. I have lots of time to put into the job. I have a very big interest in the community. We came back here. We still had a house up in Eagleshan, but because of the amenities here in the town. The hospital is especially one of the prime things now. But then we've seen other things happen here. You know, we hear about economic development slacking, but there's been quite a bit of economic development actually since I came here in 2008. There's some things we've missed out on. We've had some things come in and really helped out. One of the things that holds us back on that is we have some people that own land or properties that don't put those out as easily as they could have. We've had issues before, even with the hospital at the time, when they were trying to build that and with that land in other areas. So I think there's still a lot of work that can be done. I think council has a role that they can play with some of that. But again, I can't promise anything for council because as councillor, I'm only one of 7 councillors and I only have 1 vote. It's a decision of council. That's something a lot of people seem to forget sometimes. It's 7 people making a decision. And even if you don't agree with it, you still have to back up the rest of your councillors because it's a decision made by the council, for the council, and for the people of the town. Questions? Regarding the volunteerism, like I said, for the last 5 years, I spent most of my time volunteering for the wife. Prior to that, I've had lots, lots of volunteerism. You know, being anywhere from ice makers at curling clubs and coaches of all teams, both ladies and men's, etc. Golfed also, but I'll just leave it at that. And I've also served on some boards here with the town since I retired, but any questions, or I'll just pass this on?
Let's just pass along.
You're out of time.
Judy Stenhouse.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming out tonight. My name is Judy Stenhouse. I'm seeking, hello? Is this better? I'm seeking re-election. I'm an incumbent. Should I be successful in, re-election, this would be my 3rd term. Purpose for the 3rd term is we need to clean this up. Everything from the town to the council. We have a lot of new faces here running, and the general trend is High Prairie's been spinning its wheels, and comments are nothing ever changes. And this election would be a time for change. This is the time when the people can make the change. We have lacked so much in communication. You talk to the public, they're not aware of what's going on. Things pop up, pickleball courts, who decided that? Where did that come from? People are uninformed. We need to focus in on getting the public informed. And for economic development, we are an agricultural community. We talk about bringing in different businesses, but let's focus in on what we've got and work with what we've got with the agricultural community. And another big reason is we need to fix our foundation, and the landscape of High Prairie has changed. I used to be one who would go for walks in the morning, afternoon, evening, ride my bike, go uptown without fear. Now the landscape has changed. We need to make it safe again and clean up derelict properties, vehicles, whatever it takes, so that we can have that freedom to walk freely and feel safe in the streets of High Prairie. Some of the issues that I have that I'd like fixed on council is we have duplicate services that we're paying a lot of money. We talk about lowering taxes and recreation. Recreation is fine, but it comes as a cost, and that's what a lot of taxpayers don't realize is all this recreation comes out of your tax dollars. I think we have enough recreation. What we need to focus in is the families and the people who have been here. I want to get to all the questions and all my comments. The question on volunteering, that I am involved in and not paid for is beautification, Citizens on Patrol, Royal Purple, and I worked the spring rodeo this spring to answer the question on working with other municipalities. Yes, we've tried and we've reached out, but have we done a good enough job? No, we haven't. Maybe sharing our agendas, inviting them, letting them know what's going on. But if we're keeping the public in the dark, we're keeping the municipalities in the dark too. We need to have the public more involved, more informed. We have all these beautiful big lit up signs and everything, but they're not promoting anything. Our newsletters should go out not just to the town, but they should go out to other communities, school boards. I think that pretty much, I wanted to mention that I ended up in High Prairie by chance. That was 25 years ago. So a lot of people here are either born and raised, or they ended up in High Prairie by chance because we seem to, you get to meet people, get to know your neighbors, and it is a very nice community. But again, like I said, the landscape has changed from when I first got here, and it's like a foundation of your home. We need to fix that foundation and bring it back, make it solid. Trying to get other businesses here. If windows are being broken and vandalism and thefts, we're not going to attract anybody. We have to get to the root core of this and clean it up. Do I have time for questions? No.
We can. Yeah, we're all done. Mr. James Wakel.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming out. My name is James Weichel. This December marks 30 years for me in High Prairie. And it was always kind of the plan to come back. I grew up in Boston, lived in Edmonton for a while and thought, why am I doing this? So I came here. I've been on council. Now this is, this will mark 16 years on council. I was on before, had a little bit of a break, came back for this term. The question was asked, what have I done for volunteering, or what have we done for volunteering? I have been involved with the High Prairie Eagles for many years. I do the play-by-play for them now. I've also done the play-by-play for the Red Wings, and I've volunteered at the North Country Fair for the last 35 years. Tammy asked, how will we work together with other communities to enhance our community development? Well, our community development really, in a lot of ways, it's going to hinge on the First Nations and Métis settlements that are around us. And we started that with the recreation agreement that we had. The question was asked, has the swimming pool at Drift Pile caused a drop in our usage at our swimming pool? We didn't know there was a swimming pool in Drift Pile, so I called Dwayne Lavican the next day. I said, did you build a swimming pool? He says, well, we're talking about it. I said, can I save you $15 or $20 million? Just buy everybody a pass to ours. Well, we'd have to negotiate that. Absolutely. So I put him in touch with CM, and we've got that agreement now with Drift Pile. We've got an agreement with Sucker Creek, and the invitation has been sent out to the rest of the surrounding First Nations and Métis settlements. That it's vital, because when they come to town to use our facilities, be it the arena, the pool, the pickleball courts, whatever they're using, they're going to come to town. Then they're going to maybe buy some groceries, some gas, get a meal. That's how we will develop our community. I know crime is a huge, huge problem in our community. But when you've got one guy who goes out for an hour in the morning and causes $20,000 worth of damage and busted windows, that's one guy. So where does that problem get solved? Is it going to be at this table? We'll be part of it, but that's going to have to involve the federal and provincial governments. All three levels are going to have to be involved in that. We have met with the minister several times, and we've talked about it. We've met with the prosecutors, and that's where the victim impact statements need to be entered in when these guys go to court, so that the judiciary understands that this is a problem here. The guy that went around for an hour and caused the $20,000 or so damage and busted windows and such, he never should have been out in the first place. This is habitual. This catch and release, there's got to be a better way. you know, I want to continue working with this community. I love this town. Like I said, I've been here for 30 years. When I was 6 years old, I told my mother that I wanted to be the prime minister. I'm smarter now. I don't want to do that anymore, but I still want to give back to my community, and serving on town council, I believe, is the best way that anybody can give back to their community.
Okay. Wow, that really went up. Thank you, Mr. Wakel. So that's it for the councilors. Whose butts are numb yet?
Everybody's.
Pretty much everyone. Okay, stand up, wiggle your tail feathers around. Let's get a little loose. Then we're going to get into the mayoralty candidates. Don't leave. Just wiggle your butt.
I know. Yeah, yeah.
You guys can leave it too.
Yeah, dude, that's like, yeah, it's almost me.
So they only get 5 minutes.
Let's reconvene this in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Going out? I'm in trouble.
I need a smoke skating. Really? You only got 2 minutes. Oh.
Yeah, I do.
I'm curious about the names to say.
Yes, that I am actually very much so. You know, because I can kind of, you know, look at the people like that, I kind of know we're coming down, right? I did feel interested in them. Oh, I am immensely, yeah, I get quite excited. See, but first that are coming together for the city.
Yeah.
Oh, so. Please drawn. Oh, it is. I always wonder if I'm gonna make it. Yeah, yeah, that's, and you know, and I kind of changed things then. Oh, dreading winter, and I try to embrace it.
That's right.
You know, there's so many things and time to do things in the winter, but you just don't have time for something. So those should be positive things.
Try to embrace
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Things and visit more and get involved in many different things. We look forward to Christmas, you know, because it comes so fast and then it goes, you know? So, yeah, that's really bad. It's like people saying, you know, and really, I like,
Okay, everyone, let's get some buttons back in seats. Hello, hello. Let's get this rolling. Sit down.
Now we know where the smokers are.
He came from
Which originally,
Medicine Hat.
I wasn't in this state, I posted there in Suffield.
Okay, guys, so
There,
Mr.
she
Dobbins,
died
sit down.
after 2005.
He never listens to me. So we want to get things rolling again and start with the mayoralty
Oh,
candidates.
From Medicine Hat.
That's
I
great.
think we need to get a microphone over there.
No, we still got it, Gordon.
You still got one.
I think when I was first there, it was 39,000.
Yeah, I lived in Little Urban, just down the road.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's-
So our first mayoralty candidate, Dan Vandermeer.
Thank you. Seems everybody has to start so used to speaking just to a gymnasium or a classroom. I'm not familiar with technology. Can you hear me?
Just close to your mouth. It's on.
It's on.
Yeah, just right close to your mouth.
Can you hear me now? Ah, there we go. Yeah, I see that. Noella and I have lived in High Prairie now for continuously for 49 years. And before that, we lived for 4 years in Fost, 4 years in Gilwood. Before that, university and things. And I actually came to High Prairie when I was 12 years old and to grade 7 through 11. So I have seen this town change. I have seen it grow. It's been a great town to raise children in. We had 7 children. And I can tell you very honestly that Noella wouldn't have managed all that childcare if it hadn't been for a lot of real friendly people in places like the arena and the swimming pool, while I was out avoiding my parenting responsibilities probably. I'm so old that I look down this line and there's 2 people running for town council that I taught. I've known this one since she was 6 years old. So yes, I've seen High Prairie grow, and I've been on town council, elected school board chairman. I've sat on various committees in town, sat on various provincial committees. My background, of course, is in education, particularly in adult education. It's in management. I've been a president of 2 colleges. I've been a deputy minister in a government. I've had a broad, extensive career, and I've been very happy always coming back to High Prairie, and I've been very happy living there. But now we're in a situation where we've got a municipal election. And I, myself, and my 2 opponents are running for a very special position. And that position is the mayor. And while everyone else who comes on town council, of course, has a list of objectives that they would like to achieve, the mayor's primary objective is to make sure that council meetings run, that they're calm and make good decisions, and that then those decisions get implemented by the CAO and his staff. And that's really what the mayor's job is. So if you're looking at, who will be a good mayor, then you have to pick somebody who can run meetings, who will run them in a calm, measured way, who won't take sides with councillors, because all that does is create division. And who will then ensure that the public knows about those decisions and that those decisions get translated into action by the CAO and the staff. And that's the job. That's a different kind of job than being one of the town councillors. The town councillors have more room to act in a personal way. Town councillors have more room to sort of look at their own little bucket list. The mayor doesn't have that luxury. The mayor has to work and pull all 6 of the councillors together and keep them together and keep them making calm, measured decisions. So that's my spiel on being a mayor. The rest, of course, if you've seen the paper, you've seen my ad in the paper, and I'll just make a comment on it. As I say, I talk about experienced leadership, and my experience in leadership is broad, both at the community level, at the provincial level, and even in part at the interprovincial level. I'm really keen on open communication. I am very frustrated by the lack of communication between council and public, and particularly the reluctance of council to talk to the press. Chris is sitting up there, and I know he can be a pain in the butt, but he's asking legitimate questions. They're legitimate questions that the taxpayers are entitled to know answers to. And I think that as mayor and as town councillors, that we need to really be open. We should have written reports at the end of the month before we collect our honorarium checks, and those written reports should be public. And I'm quite willing to, in fact, post mine anytime, because I certainly intend to, even if it doesn't become council practice, to write a monthly report to the public. Fiscal responsibility, I'll only say a few words on that. I've had a budget for a long time. I've never had a deficit. One of the key things though is economic development.
Dan, we're gonna have to shut you down. Your time's up. We'll,
I thought we had extra time over the counselors. That's what the agreement.
we'll give you 2 more minutes.
was.
Sorry.
The economic development is key to making this town attractive. Recreation and all the other services support that. But we have to reach out to the reserves and to the settlement, and to the county and work together. We have to have regional cooperation. We can't keep just acting by ourselves. And as far as crime is concerned, I'll answer the question on that one right now. I know what the solution to crime is. You have to put eyes on it. Whether that's Citizens Patrol, which is a very good start, or we hire another bylaw enforcement officer, or we make a deal with sheriffs or RCMP, we're going to have to find the tax dollars to put eyes on crime. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Barry Sharkow.
Thank you, Dan. I want to start with something in here to do with some respect. Respectfully acknowledge that we are, what is it? Acknowledge that we are located on Treaty 8 territory and Métis Nation of Alberta. District 13 and 15 and 20 and 22 traditional land of the First Nation and Métis peoples. We recognize the 15 First Nation and 4 Métis settlement located through our region. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming. Councilors, you did a good job. Everybody have a good idea, good thinking, and we should put it together. To be a mayor and a leader in High Prairie, you have to have your connection. Not anyone could flip a burger, could be a chef. You have to be the leader. You have to be the connection with the government. I have the connection of the government of Alberta to bring things for our community in here. I sat and I done in the University of High Prairie, 50 years. I know exactly what High Prairie want. I know what we want. I know what we need. And we have to deliver it. We have to bring the stuff to our community. We have to go and campaign and bring people. We don't want to vote for somebody because we know the person. How are we going to go in the future? The future is coming ahead for our family and children. I'm married to a wonderful wife. Her name's Belinda over there. I have 7 kids. One of them is here, Mason, and nephew now over there. And I have 7 grandkids. And I love every one of them. And I have very young kids right now. 2 of them at the University of Alberta. One is his 4th year to become. He's taken police investigation on law. He's going to be a policeman. And another one, my daughter Hannah, she's taken science in her 3rd year now because she want to be a doctor. And she want to come back to High Prairie. Amir want to come back to High Prairie. We want to build High Prairie for those kids, for the youth, for the young people. Those young people have to bring them back to High Prairie. Not those young people just to come and visit us in holidays and things like that. We want our flesh and blood to come back and live with us in here. I could sit in here and I say, I am the most educated person in the whole world. No, I am not. I'm just an ordinary person. I'm an ordinary person. I work hard in this community. And my reason I'm running for mayor because I want to give back to the people what they give me. They give my family a great things, and I want to give them back. And that's the reason I'm running. High Prairie is a good town. Like if I am elected, this is the way I feel. If I am not, if I am not running for a mayor because I am bored or looking for a title, I am a family is here. That's my son, by the way. Just wondering where's his dad. There's Mohammed. There's Mohammed there. Because he went to Grand Prairie for practice, by the way. I am not running for a mayor because I am bored or looking for a title. My family is here. My business is here. Win or lose, my life is here. I'm invested in your past, present, and future. Building a better future together affect all of us locals. That's what we want to do. You want to see something success in High Prairie? Elect me. Because I promise you, with the help of you, the people who is in this town, we're going to be broader than the family, the Cox family, the Perry's family, the Holscroft family, the Fritz Pendip's family. Those families, we owe them this to make and build this High Prairie. They left us history in here. We want to continue their history. We can't just sit back and take and be elected every year. And what we established, we need to establish things to how to bring to our community. I am sad to see my communities going down. I took over as the college, Northern Lake College. For 3 years, we've done a successful job. The Premier, she gave me another 3 years now. And we are bringing student residents in High Prairie. We are bringing doctors to be trained in High Prairie. We're going to bring people to be trained in as nurses in High Prairie. Our hospital, we built a hospital. I sat on the hospital building and the committee. My name, you could see it in a big name, right, in High Prairie Hospital. $228 million to open those doors. Those facilities in that hospital, we got to continue. We can't have our young people go to Grand Prairie to have babies or to go to Peace River to have babies. And if it's 20 below and it's false alarm that night, they have to sleep in a hotel. Maybe they don't have money. Maybe they're going to end up sleeping in a vehicle. How is that? To have two young people, she can have a baby anytime to have them. That's bad for us. When our kids grow up, they're going to look at us and say, hey, what have you guys done for us? What have you guys brought for us? What did you do for us? We have to do that. I'm not want to be elected because, wow, I want to be the mayor. I could do this, I have the education. No, I have education from the field. I have the education from the people. You guys in front of me taught me how to live in this High Prairie, taught me what to do.
Thank you.
And that's why I want to continue and be working with you and the councilors, whoever you guys want to choose. I want to make boards, and those boards,
Barry,
just give me a second, please.
no,
And
time's
those
up.
boards, they're gonna work for this community. The fire department is gonna be looked after very well. And I agree for your plan for the fire department, and I'll be talking to you on that one. Thank you.
Hey, Sasha Martins.
You know, over the last few weeks, I gave myself a challenge to go and knock on doors of complete strangers. I deliberately chose people I did not know in the community so that I didn't listen to the same echo chamber and continue to listen to groupthink. And many who opened the doors and we had conversations, shared their concerns and hopes. You know, people want really simple things, a happy and safe place to call home. You look at our town and they've shared that some of the challenges have remained the same. Vagrancy, drugs, reckless spending, and they see a council that has lost focus. You're told to expect different results from the same bench sitters and, you know, those that have employed grandstand tactics. Well, I'm not a bench sitter and I am a problem solver. My name is Sasha Martins and I'm running to be your mayor. I'm running as the common sense alternative to the stagnant status quo. Folks, as the old adage goes, if we do the same things with the same people and expect different results, that's a bit of insanity. And High Prairie deserves better. The words, one of the gentlemen, Norman, I believe, talked about words. And you know, the words that describe me are thoughtful, sensible, and practical. My plan is simple. And it starts on day one because I'm the only one of my counterparts that brings continuity. I have a 100-day plan, which will be on the website. And the platform is easy. It's no secrets, just solutions. For too long, we've had secret meetings with little consequences. We use the word transparency, but we've had more secret meetings at this council, I venture, than anywhere in the country. It's time for partnerships, folks, not politics. It's time for no secrets, just solutions. On October 14th and 20th, you have a choice. You can choose more of the same, or you can choose real change. You can choose a mayor that is willing and able to ask the uncomfortable questions, to truly engage with our business community in a meaningful way, and to restore trust. Our community is upset. We have people running because maybe they're bored or they, you know, they're looking to pad their retirement. That's not service. Service is rolling up your sleeves and being willing to not run in circles for another 4 years. My goal is to move the needle in the next 2 years that hasn't been done in the last 12 years. It's about common sense, not creating chaos at the taxpayer's expense. I've had a front row seat to the political theater, and I know we can do better. A gentleman told me, you know, one of my supporters, he said, I'm not voting for you, not only because of me, but for my children. Both my counterparts here have made good points. I agree with Dan. The role is to chair. I've chaired steering committees both in the private sector and here in the public sector. I've had the privilege of serving as your deputy mayor, as your councillor, and formerly as Reeve in Saskatchewan. I've been able to build consensus and bring people together. And the biggest thing is communication. I think that oftentimes we've lacked that on our current council. And I believe that there's always learning opportunities. We can do better. I've learned a lot. A big recurring theme was crime. And to me, that's not just a promise, it's a priority. I was the only councillor to put forward a 3-point plan on addressing crime stats in very simple ways at zero cost. Money isn't always the solution to problems. It's about rolling up your sleeves and seeing what can be done. I've attended COP meetings, which is our Citizens on Patrol. Someone asked about volunteering. I've volunteered in the advisory committee prior to, you know, at one of the nonprofit boards here. My contribution has come in ways that I'm talented. I've done infographics at no cost, the villa. I've done things that I could with the talents that I have. Folks, we're facing unprecedented economic and political headwinds. Affordability is rising, and our rising tax burdens, there's public safety, there's growing concerns about transparency and accountability within council chambers. We need fresh leadership and practical common sense skills. What truly sets me apart is my energy, enthusiasm, and a fresh perspective. High Prairie needs a modernized approach. And I'm ready to bring it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So everyone's had their chance to speak. Didn't mention it before, but of course, all these people are volunteers. And it takes some chops to get up there and speak. So we need to appreciate that. We will go to some questions. One other thing I forgot to mention is previously it would be a Chamber of Commerce who would host an evening like this. We don't have a Chamber of Commerce right now, but a shameless plug, I think we need one. So then there could be a moderator that has some clue what they're doing. So what we're going to do, oh, one other thing too, is this is a free event. However, that's just to get in. So our police officers are here and everyone needs to pay $5 to leave. It's just one of those things we need to help the town budget.
Not funny.
You get to talk to Dean Flett to borrow $5. Yeah, I know. Okay, questions. Let's get to some questions. If you're asking a question, respectfully, please. And if it's directed to an individual, say who it's directed to, or if it's a group, anyone answer, please fire away with that too. Mr. Long.
The light is on.
Always on.
Dan, I'm glad to see that you're up there running. We don't need more divisiveness. We don't need more animosity and the chaos that ensued in this past council. In my 34 years as an elected official in various capacities, I have never seen a town council as dysfunctional, as mean-spirited as this. And when we hear our councilors, as Mr. Shunter so eloquently put, you keep on blaming, you keep on saying that, well, this council is, we need less secrecy and more, but you were part of that. The Sage Report. Harry, in all fairness, you are a nice man. 2 words, Kelly to Malcolm. Your town council was told not to hire that person. You did. It cost this town $400,000. So when I look at that and I see the 3 of you there, why are you running against each other? Is my question, I guess, for the 2 of you. I know why you're running, Dan. Your integrity speaks for itself. For the rest of you, this is not an easy job. I have seen my share of people have heart attacks on this council, and I was one. You can take this home and eat it and let it eat you up, and there are people who will not agree with you regardless. There are people who will not conduct themselves the way you think they should. But you still, at the end of the day, have to vote. And at the end of the day, the MGA has to be taken into account and looked at. And every decision you make sure you're adhering to the MGA, and you haven't.
So Michael.
So
hate to cut you off, but do you have a question?
My question is, Dan, what is it that you hope to accomplish in your term?
Look, this laser just flashing at me. Can you hear me? No? What do I hope to achieve in this term is a quiet town council that gets the job done. That's simple. I appreciate your comments, Michael, because I think you and I participated in a rather contentious town council meeting one time, but we came out of it in a basic agreement. The purpose of debate is not to score points. The purpose of the debate is to achieve agreement. That's what I hope to do. Thank you, Michael.
Okay. Okay, Bear. Yep, fire away.
With my respect to you, Michael, I didn't appreciate what you said. I did a lot with this community. And you can't deny that. So there is some respect have to be done in here. 50 years in this town. I done a lot. I opened businesses, I hired lots of people, and I looked after this community. It's in my heart. You know that, Michael. This Kelly thing, how many years ago now it's been? It's gone. You can't really bring that against me to do that. This town, I have kids. People in here, they have kids and they have grandkids. They need to be survived. We need to do something for them, Michael. But if that's the way you done it as a personal, and I remember when you argued with this gentleman at the council meeting, and I remember when he said that we have $24 million to bring the college, it was Sharon Cox, Linda Cox. We met with Ann. She was the chairperson, the president at the time.
Eric, can we?
We need, no, this is important. I have to
Yep,
mention that.
but we
Sharon
have lots
knows
of
that.
questions and
Please.
little time.
You know, and we work hard to bring the college. When the NDP, they came and he said to you guys, there's $24 million. When we took over the UCB and our MLA came in and he said, Barry, the money's not there. We have to bring the money to bring the college in here. Just for you to remember that, Michael, and I could give you the prover, my friend.
Okay,
You, my
thank you.
friend, and you always stay my friend.
Thank you, Barry. Okay, questions? Who wants to go first? Not Trevor. Right beside you.
So my question is for the incumbents. If you are reelected, what are you going to do? Because one of the incumbents mentioned the last 4 years have been acrimonious. What are you going to do so that it's not a repeat of that? How are you going to work together if any of the incumbents are reelected?
Thank you, Heather. That's a very good question. I believe Dan said it earlier. It is the job of the chair, to moderate, to achieve consensus, to keep dialogue respectful. And when I was Reeve, Reeve is essentially the equivalent in a rural municipality as mayor. I would have had the respect to talk to my fellow councillors. In fact, I've done so many times. I've hosted barbecues. I've gone to their homes, and instead, this council chose to blindside, on matters in closed sessions. That is not the mark of a leadership. All we could have done differently, very simply, at zero cost versus $50,000 plus of costs. That's your taxpayers' dollars, by the way. And for a small town like ours, $50,000 is a big spend. All that we could have done differently, and all that we will do differently, given the chance going forward, is have a conversation. Communication is key. It's how you resolve conflict in relationships, any relationships, personal, council. We weren't given that chance. We weren't given the chance to dialogue, good, bad, ugly. It became this big snowball effect of personal vendettas coming forward and money being spent. It's easy when you're spending from the public purse and you're not opening up your own wallet. It's very simple to do that. That's one way, Heather, in which I believe things could be different.
Thank you. These things are crazy. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Fire away.
So So I'm gonna have to echo what she said. Our biggest downfall for the last 4 years has been communication. Be it either with each other on council or with the public. And it's always been about communication. It got very vindictive. It became a personal vendetta and the lines of communication shut down. And there was no open dialogue. You tried to engage in debate and it was shut down. So I'm hoping that come election, the residents want change and are going to vote for change. And let's hope that we come in with a new slate of people who can communicate and get things done.
Communication is key. The choice was made to go to an outside organization to do the code of conduct review, which is what the SAGE report is. The choice was made to go to an outside organization so that there could be no accusations of bias. Because if you have a majority of council who says, well, this is what happened, then those people could say, well, that's because you're against us. So the decision was made by all of council. It was a 7-0 vote to bring in an outside organization. And they delivered the SAGE report, and that's where it came from. Now, to have it not get to that point, you just got to follow the MGA, follow the rules, make sure that things that are held in confidence when you do have the in-camera meetings for legal matters and personnel matters and such, those things have to stay there until they come out in open council. And they do, ultimately. But that was the problem. So hopefully we can not have that same problem this time around.
I think we need more mics.
Pass it down the line. Yeah, I have to echo that to a certain degree, to a full degree, actually. I think what's key is that council has to develop a positive work environment built on trust, integrity. It has to be open and honest communication. There is room for debate, as always. That is what is so important. It's the strength of council when you have the 6, 7 council and mayor, together. And everybody brings something to the table. And that's the strength. That's the strength of municipal government. But saying that, when debate is ongoing and there is discussion ongoing, and it is a closed session, it does come out eventually. It comes out as a unified voice. Not comes out on individuals with their mandates or what they're trying to do, which sometimes is very hard to understand. But anyways, the most important thing is to act professionally and, like I mentioned, with integrity. I think it's important that that training is available. Training for conduct of counselors, that when you come on council, you fully understand, what it is, and it's understood from the beginning. And I think it's important also to, I guess, just to mention that, it takes immediate action. to eliminate any concerns that are coming forward. And then things are dealt with and you move on. That's very important. If things are dragging on and things aren't addressed, that makes it quite critical for moving forward. And honestly, it makes it quite difficult for the other counselors to do the good work that they're doing. So I think that's very vital. What else was I wanting to make mention? Yeah, I think that's all.
Okay.
That's all I'll say. Thank you.
So we got one more incumbent.
As a council, you should be able to work with the rest of those people that you're elected with. Your one voice or your one vote, everybody else has an opinion, but you try and be respectful and accept people's opinion. Anybody can spin the narrative however they want regarding any situation. Did we have to get to that point? Maybe not. Maybe there were other avenues we could have tried. At the time, the issue was we had a complaint, as Councillor Wakel mentioned. 7 councillors voted to hire a third-party independent investigator. The results are what the results are. The SAGE report is out there for those who haven't read it or want to read it. The issue with when you have 7 different personalities on council is you have to listen, but you also have to respect that opinion. And again, as Councillor Wakel mentioned, when things are discussed in camera, there's a reason that they're in camera. They're not to be shared out of camera until they become part of the public meetings. So, as I said before, you can spin the narrative however you want to make yourself look good, bad, or otherwise. But at the end of the day, you have to respect yourself enough that you can accept people's opinions and maybe look and say, could I done something differently? Maybe, and reflect and move forward.
Okay, thank you. So I know there was another question from Mr. Cesarowski. He's being patient.
Sir, you continually vote no on many matters that were brought to council. These would be anything from supporting community events, critical infrastructure, and recreation. You previously spoke today about growth and moving forward. How does not supporting many initiatives of improvements in community events that bring economic activity to our town accomplish what you said is important?
Okay, so, on voting no. So, like Donna says, we have our opinions, but I was elected to be the voice of people. So there are a lot of things that the majority of council supports, but I am the voice of the people who tell me that they don't support it. And through training, if you don't understand something, you are to vote against it. And many times things have showed up at our meeting. Just before the meeting, I haven't had time to review it. And if I don't understand it, the proper way is to vote no until you've had time to review the material and make an informed decision. Not just because it's there, everybody's raising their hands to yes, that you raise your hands to yes because everyone is there. You have to make sure that you're informed on the decisions you're making, the money you're spending. The economic development question, actually, could you clarify that better for me?
That Basically, says how it's about supporting community, but we just didn't advance that bring action operating community.
Oh, that's on the voting no. I am the voice of the people who are against your tax dollars. We collect tax dollars and donate your money to organizations. The voice I'm hearing is I can make my own decision on what charity I would like to donate my money to. I don't believe that council, it's not that I just believe the voice, what I'm hearing from people is they want to make their own decision on what charity they donate to. And that I do believe that I don't find it's right that we collect tax money and donate it to charitable organizations. Do people actually know that a portion of their tax dollars is going to different organizations? Why can't they make their choose that whatever they want themselves? Especially in today when people are struggling with everyday bills from power to groceries to everything, we are raising your taxes and donating it to the charity of our choice. That's where the no vote comes in.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, did you have a question?
I don't think I need a microphone. You guys are gonna hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I guess you mentioned Chamber of Commerce, George, and can everybody hear me now? Sure, okay. George, you mentioned the Chamber of Commerce. I think one of the things that happened with the Chamber of Commerce, besides COVID, which is quite a few years now, but the members that came out to meetings always thought that the town council did not really care for any members of the Chamber of Commerce. And that was not a spirit of working together. It was a spirit of, we can't make those guys look good, no matter what it takes. And that was political. And that was the sense that the Chamber of Commerce, most of its members that came out to the meeting had. And that's really unfortunate. But to give you an idea, I think it was just about over 2 years ago, the Chamber of Commerce wrote a letter to this councilors there with a list of 10 questions about moving forward in this community. One of those questions that was on there, before I ask the question, before I state that, those 10 questions the Chamber of Commerce people thought were very important to our community. Extremely important enough to put it in writing and send it to council and suggest that, take a look at this. That councilor over there, James Wakel, no offense, James, voted to receive it for information and it got buried. All the councilors voted for that, to bury it. That councilor made the motion and nobody reached out to any of the members of the Chamber of Commerce to even say anything about it. Nothing. One of the questions that was on there was, is this council going to have a public meeting to talk about the hospital lands? This was before that property was sold. That was so unimportant to this council that received for information. Today, we still do not know who made the decision to not buy that land. Does anybody here on this council have anything to say about that? It's a secret. I voted for it. I don't know anything. Please answer us. Here's your opportunity.
So Jeff, you ask very good questions. I mean, this is exactly why the persecution occurred. You cannot ask questions like that. To this day, as an elected official councillor, I do not have the correspondence from our former CAO to the Alberta Industrial, the AHS folks that take care of property dispensement to this day. Those were all of the attacks. You can't. You have to go with the flow, sing kumbaya with everybody else, bury things under the rug that are uncomfortable. Miss Cox, that was sitting next to you, wrote a letter just for speaking to the public. Somebody here said, hey, maybe it was Dan, you can't speak to the press. Speaking to the press, you've got a gag order. You can't do that. When did I give up my charter of rights as a citizen, as a human being? Being a counselor doesn't mean that you hide the truth constantly because it's uncomfortable, inconvenient, doesn't serve the purpose of current or past administration or the powers that be. That SAGE report was a complete rebuttal or there were egos bruised during the recall petition for particular counselors that are sitting here today. And, I take offense to things, to a counselor here talking about integrity. Integrity is about honesty. Therese, I don't know, I don't want to be, we're supposed to be respectful here, but when someone is handcuffed a few months ago, not years ago, a few months ago, and sitting in the back of a police cruiser, there's a reason for it, and integrity isn't synonymous with that incident.
I don't know.
Let Teresa respond.
Sorry. Any other comments, anyone? Next question. I know there was a question for Linda.
But under your leadership, it became the norm. How much progress and taxpayers' money do you think that this community lost because of the drama during your term? That's then shortly after you were selected for the CO position, and that's only naming one conflict.
Well, I feel very complimented, Berlinda, that it's my leadership. We are a group of 7 and every counselor has 1 vote.
But every issue that came up was your concern. Was
actually 35 delegates came out to speak to that matter with a former CEO that was hired. 35 delegates. That is a big number of people. 35 to 40 actually. I'm not even sure if you were one of them. At the time, I was fairly new. I didn't even know that name. There were a lot of people that came out and spoke the business community, the personal community. I'm not sure. I mean, lots of people, put in their names for CEO. Madsen was one, the former mayor, Panasic was another. People are allowed to apply for positions. I'm not sure.
Oh, definitely, but
I'm not sure what.
Can we just keep it to one question?
Okay.
What's
Just
the question?
so that everyone can. Front row. And, oh, okay.
The question was asked of who made the decision in regards to the hospital land. We have incumbents here, counselors. We have not heard an answer yet to any of this. I spoke to Don Tanaka and James Wakefield in regards to that land, that they knew full well from discussions, and Donna, you and Mayor Panasic knew when Mayor Linda Cox was there, that the citizens of High Prairie area wanted that land for community use. You were made fully aware of that. And yet everything was done in secret. Everything, every question we asked, we would never get an answer to it. So Donna, and maybe you could enlighten us.
I believe when we talked, Sharon, your question that you had asked me was when I knew that the land was coming up for 100, and I believe I said it was September. I can't remember exactly. Okay, I remember the conversation differently, but I mean,
Right.
Okay, okay. No, we'll get up there. Sorry. We had someone in the front row. You'll be next.
No, just, this might see.
Actually submitted 9 questions to be answered tonight. I thought we had to have the questions submitted prior, but
We're gonna get to those too, hopefully.
this lively conversation, a lot has come to light about what our community finds valuable, what our priorities are, and what we all want. And I think it's probably par for the course what we want as a community and in a small community. We want safer towns and we want accountability, and we want to know what we're doing to attract young professionals and to support our young families that are trying to get started here. And I just wanted to commend the old town council for their time and their work in unprecedented times. We've heard the word COVID, and everything's been COVID in unprecedented times. And I think every person here probably follows our community forums, is politically minded, wants to know what's going on. We've seen a lot of division, and we've seen a lot of politics coming from outside of our community and even outside of our country. And I see local citizens at each other's throats daily talking about matters that don't even concern us. So even though I find that a lot of our questions tonight are very important, I have a question that kind of goes outside of the box. And it's actually a 2-part question, but I think a lot of people have noticed that the provincial government has been making claims about increasing its influence over municipal decision-making. And I would like to know how these candidates here will stand up for our community's local priorities and how we will keep our autonomy.
Good question.
Kind of just a finishing question to go along with this and try to, in the spirit of moving forward and in trying to have hopeful change and seeing good change and seeing the word change everywhere we see it in all levels of government. What is your one hope? What is your one vision for our community going forward? We can rehash all this other stuff at another time. I want to know what we're going to do now and how we're going to move ahead.
Harry, I believe you wanted to speak.
That's a good question, really good. And that's what we have to do, because we are starving to build our economic and development in our area. I spoke once to the government, matter of fact, the NDP and the UCB, that we have lots of cattle in here. We have lots of grain, canola. Why we can't have a slaughter area in here? Why we can't have a mill? Why we can't have a process for to make the oil from the canola? And especially right now, it's so the market is open big time out there. So we have the products to do. We have the honey in this area. The honey is the best in the whole world. It's natural. We don't have no factories in here. I remember a few years ago, I did sell honey from this area. I ship it to Saudi Arabia. So there is a good market to do in our area. We could invite industry to come in here. We could work with them. We could, the town have some big lands that could be development, and we could sell it for $10,000 a lot, as long as you build within a year. And if you don't, you lose it. This way will be more taxes, coming from different houses. And if we have more businesses come in, taxes goes in there, and the taxes on the house is so important, it goes down. Because we're gonna put the taxes down somehow. If I get elected, I'm gonna guarantee you, there is no tax raise. but I want to work with the councilors. How we gonna put it down? That's important. How we gonna work the taxes and how we gonna put down? And that's how we could build our economy and development in our area. Go up to the government and ask them for stuff to have manufactured in our area in here. Thank you.
Thank you. I think the regional development and the economic development are the keys to making this a healthier community to live in. We have to do two things for economic development. We have to get more people coming to town. You know, whether it's regarded as charitable or not, council made a mistake in not supporting the Treaty 8 hockey tournament, because that was a perfect example of literally tens of thousands of dollars coming into town that are now going to Slave Lake. And that's what we need to do. You know, we're talking about recreation. Recreation is a major draw. All of those competitions, whether it's pickleball or hockey or the relay races we just had, bring in tens of thousands of dollars per day. So that's one side of economic development. The other side of economic development is we've got to stop looking at the reserves, the settlements, and the county as our competition. There are potential partners. Yes, it's important that we bring Sucker Creek and Driftwell and the other reserves for recreation. But it's also important that we reach out to them and ask them, how can we help you in your economic development? Because it's regional. The town council has to start meeting with the county council, not just read each other's news releases, but actually meet with them and have the CEOs who are sitting there side by side planning things together for economic council. And the last ingredient, and this is for Jeff, we need a chamber of commerce, an active chamber of commerce, not a town chamber of commerce, not a county chamber of commerce. We need a regional chamber of commerce. You're not going to talk to any government, whether it's an NDP or a conservative government, if you don't have an active chamber of commerce behind you. Forget it. It's not going to happen. So you need to have a chamber of commerce, and that means the town council has to meet with the chamber of commerce and has to accept their advice and has to give them legitimate feedback, not just bury the stuff as if it's another smelly pile of something, but actually try to develop the point. We can't do anything unless we do it in regional cooperation. We can't do anything without a regional chamber of commerce.
That's what, be careful. I just want you to check it.
We'll give one rebuttal and that's it. Well, sorry.
It's fine.
Got at least 6 rebuttals.
I want to recover this one. Yes, we know all that stuff. Dan, you left High Prairie for how long? And I believe you live in Jusa.
I don't live in Jusa.
But, you know, let's face it. Let's face it.
Jusa, that's my rebuttal. I live in the same house.
Okay.
For 49 years.
Yes. And Dan, you've been gone. I've been in this town and I stayed in this town and I stayed in this town and I've been in lots of board helping this community for all the years I've been in here. Those things, it doesn't bring jobs. We need to create jobs. That's the important thing. We know about this one. We create all that stuff, the one you talked about. Treaty 8, when we brought the Treaty 8, it was the best thing ever had to town. The horse racing with Sucker Creek. I work with the First Nation, and they're wonderful people. I will invite them. I have the connection with the First Nation to bring them back to High Prairie and said, I have my plan to get the First Nation going in our community in here. So really, the way we want to do it is to create factories to bring so we could have people come in and move to High Prairie. That's the only way we could build more houses so the people comes in. That's how they want to attract the people. Thank you.
Okay, very patient person way up there.
Hi, Hello. So, this was one of the pre-submitted questions, but I figured I'd ask it just in case we don't get a chance to get to those. So I'll ask the question maybe to some of our candidates on the other end of the table, some of our councillor candidates. The Yak building is standing empty and abandoned at the edge of JC Park. As a town councillor, would you like to see the town look into acquiring this building? If yes, how would you like to see it developed? And if no, why not?
As a town,
Oh.
Good question. My thoughts on this are what are we gonna use it for? We have to come up with, something that it's gonna be, value to our community. If the town just bought a derelict building, and that could be a waste of money. But I'm thinking if there is there is services that we need that we don't have. We lack, for example, after-school programs. We lack daycare. I was thinking that it could be used as an arts center, a place for theater. There's a lot of ideas that could happen there. It's right next to the park. It's a beautiful place. I would love to see that developed, but it also would have to be, make economic sense as well.
I think Brian wanted to speak.
Somebody did that.
We'll just hand him like that.
In previous years, when I worked for the town, I worked with a planner, and he ultimately told me that the municipality shouldn't be buying buildings or land. We shouldn't be land barons. That should be left to developers, including like, say, the Yak building. I don't know the layout of the land, but as a councillor, if I do get voted in, I wouldn't be in favor of purchasing that building, because again, that puts the town in further debt. So that's my stance.
Ever since the Yak has been shuttered, the council has tried to get answers from the government. We've lobbied them. We're dealing with, I think the last answer we got from our current MLA was that he was going to meet with the minister and see if he could get something. We've sent letters. They respond saying, it's, we haven't really made up our mind yet. We don't know what's going on. But I find it really interesting with the UCP government. When Danielle Smith was here in town, a resident asked her about the Yak, and her response was, "Oh, I thought it was completely burnt." That's not the case. So you're dealing with an issue where even the government doesn't know what's going on, and you're trying to tell them what's happening with this building and how we need it in terms of putting it back into service, in terms of what it was doing for the youth of this community. But instead, now they're saying, well, we'll open facilities in Lac La Biche and Edmonton. So now you have marginalized children and families from our community that have to leave to get services, where if we could just finally get an honest answer of what's going on with the Yak, and the government realizing that it's still a viable building. It's not completely destroyed.
Just on a personal note, talk to me later.
Go on. I want to talk.
Okay. Yep.
I would like to respond to the question. Thank you, Stacy, for the question. I think you raised a really good opportunity for our town. We talked a lot about how recreation is key to attracting and keeping families here. And we have a lot of facilities, the pool and the sports center, that serve as a very specific recreational aspect. But one thing we are lacking is gathering spaces. So we don't have a centralized space for us as a community to gather and host events. outside of sports, there's a whole host of programming that we could offer. Community classes, art classes, which are raised already. Uh, um, like after school daycare programs. There was a pilot project this summer through the pool. They hosted day camps and daycare provide to sort of fill in the shortcomings that our town has for daycare spaces. The program was so popular. However, the space that it was hosted in was too small to really expand any more to meet the needs of our town. And so something like the Yak Center could provide that through the summer and through after school programming, spaces for our kids to gather, safe spaces for them to gather for community classes, but also have direct access to JC Park. So we could run like more outdoor programming, Boy Scouts, things like that, if we had a centralized and safe place for us to gather. So I think there's definitely value in looking into, at the very least, looking into the potential for our town to acquire that space. Thank you.
Judy?
Can I, you guys hear me if I just, no.
So, I want to answer your question about how we can not be so influenced by the provincial government. Unfortunately, we have a very small amount of money to work with. And the provincial government has a big influence on our infrastructure, such as our water treatment plant. We apply for grants and stuff like that. So that's the problem here, is we have to rely on our provincial government. We pay our taxes to them, and then we have to beg to get our money back so that we can invest in our town.
That overreach their influence, like the activists said they would come in and bring with counselors and consult it, or if they didn't align with their ideologies and agenda. So I'm trying to see how we can have our autonomy and keep our town's priorities.
And that would come from a strong council, where you have a strong council who would unite and say, and you, if you review the tapes of the meetings, many times it'll say, well, you know, this community is doing that, this community is doing. I don't care. I live in High Prairie. This is where the decision should be made. I don't care what the other towns are doing. What are we doing for High Prairie? Now, the Yak. Should I be reelected and on council for the Yak building? I would not be in support of buying it. This is another example of big corporations, the government dropping their out-of-date buildings or whatever on us to clean up. I would fight to have the government clean up that building and the lot or whatever, i.e. like we dealt with the Esso lot where they just abandoned it and then the taxpayers are left on the hook for it. So I would not be in support of purchasing the Yak or taking it off the provincial government's hands for them.
I want to address both those questions as well. The Yak building, not in favor of buying it at all. We don't know the extent of the damage that was inside due to the fire. This is the excuse as well that the provincial government keeps throwing at us. So we don't know how much repairs would be needed inside. But considering that the building, and I just asked Dan this, when it was built in 1980. So there's a very high probability that it's full of asbestos. Anytime you start doing any sort of renovations with something like that, it gets very expensive very quickly. So I would not be in favor whatsoever of having anything to do with that building, even if they gave it to us, simply because to repair it and get rid of the asbestos, you could be looking at it $500,000, $1 million to clean it up. So there's that. Provincial government interference. As Judy said, we are handcuffed in a way. because the provincial government does control the purse strings. However, we do have a voice to Alberta municipalities. And one of the things that Alberta municipalities did accomplish through a motion that the town put forward was that grants in lieu of taxes. It used to be, because we can't tax the provincial or federal government because we're lower than them. But what they did do was they gave us a grant in lieu of those taxes. So the taxes on the provincial building, the RCMP building, for provincial, it'd be the provincial building and the courthouse, comes to X amount of dollars. We're not paying taxes, but we're giving you a grant for this amount. That was rolled back to 75%, and then it was rolled back to 50%. We still have to put the taxes on there, and then every year we have to write that off, which annoyed me so much. So after voting not to do that, I mean, you have to do it, but I was a protest vote saying, no, I don't want to let them do that. We put forward the motion to the Alberta municipalities that they restore the funding to 100%. And it went forward to the Alberta municipalities last year. I almost said AUMA, that's the old name. And it passed with 94.1%, I believe. It was the highest rated motion that went forward. And the government has now gone back to 75%, I believe, this year, and then next year they're going to be back to 100%. So how can we keep the provincial government from interfering with the town? We have to use the organizations that we're part of, the AUM, Alberta municipalities, to speak all the communities with one voice to say, you're overstepping. I hope that answered your question. Fire away. If you can figure out the microphone.
Testing.
You got it.
Session. Ms. Martins, you were employed in the administration positions for the East Prairie Métis settlement and also the High Prairie Friendship Center, where I believe you were dismissed under some circumstantial, controversial circumstances. As recently that we can remember, a part of the investigation of the SAGE report as well. This has upset a lot of people and created a lot of discord within the communities. In your words, reflecting on all this, how could you convince us to vote for you?
So there was no dismissal at the Friendship Center. It was a board matter. In January 11th of this year, the way the Friendship Center works, I'll start with that one and I'll go back to your other question. The way the Friendship Center works is that there are two governing bodies, a provincial, which is ANFCA, Alberta National Friendship Centers, and a National Association of Friendship Centers. There are 21 member associations here in High Prairie. The board dealt with the provincial regulations for a bunch of non-compliance, non-governance. I wasn't even employed there at the time. So you will have to ask the board chair, who is sitting right here, as to why. I happen to be the only one who drove myself almost 10 hours of my own time to attend the EGM. Just happened recently. Not one. I was very sad and dismayed to see that not one person who represents the center today was even there. I spoke. They gave me permission to speak. And, without going into details on why that was dismantled, it had nothing to do with me. It had to do with the conflict of interest and codes of conduct of the board. So maybe you should ask Barry Sherkawi why he wishes to be elected for killing that Friendship Center for all kinds of pecuniary interests and so forth. It was a unanimous vote to expel the High Prairie Friendship Center.
Wendy.
I actually, really loved that role. I did a lot in 7 months. We had a ton of accolades. There were a lot of firsts for the community. One lady said to me, that she hasn't stepped foot at one of the programs in 30 years. There were new children that came into the community. So I would encourage, you to get facts correctly. And there's just a lot of tear down in this community. The former executive director resigned. And then when things were going really well for the next 7 months, I don't know if she wanted back in. Shakawi always said, hey, the Friendship Center is really important to me because I need to get the Indigenous vote, because he always planned on running in this election. There was a lot of, one of the things the Friendship Center advocates is that it's a safe space for all. There's no violence. Yet, as a member, as an employee of that center, I experienced more abuse and violence from our very own board members. So you might want to inquire further. Going back to East Prairie, it was a 1-year contract. There was no termination. In fact, they paid me out. So you can go ask the council there. I actually really enjoyed that role as well and learned a lot. I'm not sure if I've answered your questions. What was your question specifically? Well, I've had almost a 20-year record in the private sector. This is Fortune 50 companies. They vet. I've worked for the largest financial institution in Canada. I've done investor relations. These are organizations where you are vetted. This is the first time in my entire life and career where I've experienced this level of tear down. I don't know what it is. One of the president and the elder at the AGM that I attended for the Friendship Center, came. There were lots of hugs over the last 2 days. I wouldn't have gone there if I had something to hide. They were very warm, very welcoming. A lot of them said, come visit us. There's a reason why they were that warm and welcoming. They said, hats off to you. You've done really good work. They actually, without saying it officially, said that I should put in to get the center resurrected again. There were a lot of things that happened in the last year. I mean, maybe the current board can fill you in. I guess my plea, my statement to all of you is I've learned some lessons. I've learned things that I would do differently, better next time. I've learned that, or I felt that in so many ways I was maybe used as a pawn. But taking responsibility, I feel like sometimes less said is better. I think that public engagement, I've advocated for public town halls since I got on council for 4 years. We as a council have chosen to keep the citizens at bay. We put obstacles in place, 5-minute timelines, we've made it difficult. And I was the first person that said, it doesn't matter if people have criticism, let's hear them, because I feel like I'll go back to conversation. If we disagree about something, the first thing I'd want to do is sit down and have a conversation about it. I'm telling you what I can bring to the table. I'm telling you that I can bring experience having done this before in both private and public sectors. I feel like I have the energy, enthusiasm, and commitment to do this, and that's as far as I can convince.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any more questions?
An hour and a half or so. You say you want to work together with the public, with councils. You just threw 3 people under the bus with no accountability. Is that going to continue if you get elected? No decision that goes wrong is going to be everybody else's fault. I'm just kind of curious about that because it was just kind of odd how you just threw people under the bus.
Well, now I'm being thrown under the bus myself and have for the last year and a half. I mean, maybe I should ask that question. I mean, there's so many conflicts of interest in this town and there's so much divisiveness. I don't understand, first of all, how you can function as the executive director of an organization and your uncle Barry Sherkawi sits as chair. I don't know. I feel like
You
I,
just talked about partnerships again.
yeah.
And you talk about me being the executive director of an organization. We have things in place to take away conflict of interest. You guys should have had the same thing at your center. You guys didn't do that, right? You know this. Take accountability. You're not taking accountability. You're not taking accountability as a counselor and as a former CAO of two organizations.
You know what, one of the.
So the question that he was asking is, how can the public trust you?
Well, the very same people that are intent on tearing me down are not going to be able to trust me. Collaboration is key. I'm looking forward to folks that are more secure and really, I said this before, it's in one of my statements in Southeast News, Niall. I will work with anyone and everyone to further the goals and objectives of this town, right? I think I want the same things as.
But you also just made a false statement again, saying that you went to the AGM, the friendship centers, and there was no representation from High.
Can we just get to one question, please?
There was zero representation from High Prairie.
Yeah, but let's have question and answer.
Who is present.
I mean, we do know this. We are community members. So these are important questions for somebody that's not really a community member, hasn't been here as long as a majority of us, that hasn't raised families here. So these are legitimate questions and concerns by myself as a voter. Okay.
Right. You know, we choose to live here. We don't have to live here, Niall. We choose to live here, and it's because we like what the town offers. I've contributed in every way I can, and that's why I ran last 4 years ago, and it's why I'm running again.
So my thoughts are, it's 9 o'clock. I have a social life too, believe it or not. Not much, yeah,
Not much.
not really,
I
but
don't know if this is a question that any of our council or past councilors or CAOs can answer. Do we, as a town, have any involvement in hiring of staff at our hospital? And then, Mike, no? That was my understanding, because I had the misfortune of meeting one of our potential doctors under bad circumstances. Somehow we became somewhat friends after that. His vehicle didn't turn out very well. I was parked. I made some inquiries very quickly that evening to people I know who I thought have the finger on the pulse. And they said, we have no idea what you're talking about. I said, you have a potential doctor in this town and you know nothing about him. No, he was driving himself around, getting to know the town. He had no involvement with any people. So I question that, like, in our town, I presumed we had some say in it. I know back in the day, we did have a house or houses for potential doctors to help with their relocation. I don't know, last I heard, we don't have those housing anymore. I'm just wondering, is there anything on that? Or can we do anything about it?
so anyone want to speak on that?
So to that question and the question about the yak, there's two sides to one coin. And on one side, you have funding. And on the other side, you have recreation programs. And on my side, I see a lot of the funding. You know, I'm boots on the ground. I talk to a lot of the home builders in town. I got eyes on development. And it's only been in the last month that the community, the town council has started to incentivize development in the community. And still today, I'm talking to home builders who don't want to build because it's too expensive. But incentivizing that development, building more houses, building more apartment buildings, bringing new businesses to town is how we make the community a better place. We clean up the community. We make it more attractive. You're absolutely right. We got to retain those doctors, those teachers. The skilled trades people that Tolko is bringing in, we want these people to want to live here. And the way we do that is by incentivizing development. And on the flip side, by incentivizing development, we get to collect more taxes because we have more businesses in town, we have more houses in town, we have more people living here. And those taxes can go towards funding programs like, I don't support purchasing the yak. I don't know what we would use it for. If we had a plan for it, maybe that would change. Me personally, I want to see a daycare in town, but that's just me. But development is how we make the community a better place. And that's how we retain doctors. And that's my 2 cents.
Just to your question as well, as a registered nurse who works for AHS, I currently work in McLennan. But that was only because I decided to stay and I worked there prior as a travel nurse. But for example, for High Prairie, because I live here, I was like, I want to work here as well. I looked online and the postings, I'm not sure how AHS does it with their postings, but as a casual nurse, they don't just have a consistent posting, for example. None of the hospitals really do. And so I wasn't sure what to do. And the only reason I knew to apply for casual is to reach out to the manager of the hospital. But I only knew like who that was or how to do that because I already work in the planet. So I think there's a lot of issues. And I know that AHS also has decided to branch off into different categories now, like they're not just one big umbrella. So I think that there's going to be issues as well that come from that in trying to retain staff and staff that stay here.
Were there any questions that were submitted? Because I think a lot of people submitted a lot of questions.
There are some questions.
Yeah.
Questions that would highlight new people running the council that maybe let them highlight some of their vision for going forward.
Yep, we do have some questions. And we are going to run out of time because there are a number of questions, but I think some of the more important ones would be, where do we have? What would be each one of you candidates, whoever wants to answer this, the 3 top priorities for our community over the next 4 years? If anyone wants to answer that. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so there were a lot of pre-submitted questions that we were able to review, and I think it's unfortunate we weren't able to touch on a lot of them, specifically crime, which is a huge issue of concern for community members. And I think that over the next 4 years, crime needs to be at the forefront, because unless we address this above national average rising issue, we won't have investment. We won't have people wanting to open businesses. We won't have families wanting to stay here or purchase houses. And so I think that needs to be like at the forefront. With that said, in my platform, I focus on 3 things, which is housing, local business, and recreation. But I do think addressing crime, like relates to all of those pillars. And then, yeah, so I think for me, those are the main areas of focus that we need to have over the next 4 years. To circle back, I know that the YAC building has been discussed a lot, but I just want to clarify my position on it, which is we've talked a lot about missed opportunities with the land of the hospital. And I think that the potentially deemed to repeat that. I'm not saying that I think the YAC should be purchased, but what I am saying is that we have an obligation to at the very least explore what that acquisition could mean for us. You had a question about what would the point of this space be? Apart from all of the programming that we could run out of it, it could also provide a revenue stream for private rentals. There's a lack of spaces that companies or like private events can have in our town, and so it could be a potential place for us to gain a revenue stream from. Again, one part of very many complex opportunities that we have. Just wanted to clarify that I think that I don't want to repeat the mistakes that we made with a missed opportunity of acquiring the lands in High Prairie. And so I just wanted to put a fine note on that point. Thank you.
I had, actually, she was just touching on a little bit, but one of the things they're not looking at is the relationship between, we're kind of set, got crime, housing, investment companies, and the relationship between those. If you want investment in your town, you have high crime, that goes down. You have rundown houses, that goes down. You fix up the place and you reduce the crime, this will naturally come up. I think we ought to look at the root cause of the reasons that investment will come if you can create an environment people want to come to, and they want to put their businesses and they want to work there. So I think that's one of the, rather than focus on each individual, kind of look at the root causes, you push that down, the other will come up by itself. And you'll actually, people will take care and want to create their own independence in their own companies.
Okay, another email question. What strategies do you have to attract new business, create jobs, and support existing small business in High Prairie? So fire away anyone who would like to answer.
I think, oh, there, yeah, okay. Okay, so, in order to attract business, of course, like mentioned before, we need to address crime. We also, it was touched on before, to make sure we're providing incentives for businesses to want to invest here. But we also need to look at our downtown core and some of the properties that are uninhabitable or derelict, and how we can improve or encourage improvement in some of those building owners, or open up spaces for rentals to small businesses that are perhaps working out of their homes that could maybe centralize their operations in the downtown core and fill those empty spaces. A few other ideas that I have for improving the local economy, which is the town could potentially launch a Buy in High Prairie or Made in High Prairie buy local campaign, where we perhaps sell membership cards and you get discounts at coordinated or like businesses that have signed up to partake, and essentially just encouraging towns or communities or businesses to, or individuals or businesses to first to buy in town rather than going to the communities such as Slave Lake or Peace River to do their shopping. I also, to support local towns, the existing towns that are here, I do think we need to seriously consider perhaps a vandalization reimbursement program. It should not be on the burden of a shopkeeper or store owners to have to repair their glass windows every time someone decides to walk around town smashing up the place. So I think that there's potential there for us to support the businesses that are putting their time and their money into our community, to support them and make sure that they're protected and their investments and their operations are invested or are protected. I also think we have opportunity to create networking events for local business to collaborate, promote themselves. We could include them free advertising in our local newsletter. There's lots of opportunities for us to encourage businesses. And then, of course, work with the Chamber of Commerce to get it off the ground. And because like it was mentioned before, we're not taken seriously as a municipality provincially if we don't have an active Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to cut the mic.
Barry, the price.
To attract business and be able to hybrid, yes, there is ways to do it. It's gold, you know yourself, when you sell a house, you paint it.
I don't do that very often.
But you fix it and everything and you sell it. Same thing when, if we want to attract this to High Prairie, the people, we gotta fix our town. We gotta fix our streets. We gotta fix our hospital. We gotta fix more housing. We need more housing to bring in. We can't have people coming in. There's no housing for them to live. There's no delivery room open in High Prairie, so why want to go to High Prairie? But if we do our homework, and if I get elected, and with the new councilors, you people are gonna elect, we'll make sure we'll sit down, and we'll sit down with the health department and say, this is what we need, this is what we have to bring people in. We could build houses, apartment, and we need that. We are short in housing. Safety, that's safety number one. People don't want to come in here to be scared to walk in the streets and things like that. So we have to work with the police officers, RCMB. Maybe we have to bring another RCMB. People are going to say, how? There is funding, there is money in there. There's $500,000 the town could apply for because we are less than 5,000 people. And we could do that. So there is work we could be done. We could bring the people in as long we have the facility of the hospital. You know, we do have the education. I'm very happy with the education we have in High Prairie. And that will bring us people. I just want to add on the building, the one by JC Park. That building in there is a way we could do it to bring it to High Prairie. That building, we could get it from the government for $1 on a condition the government will renovate it and bring it. And we could use it for rock boards. What I mean by that, the rock and roll dancers, they could use it. Green and dancer, they could use it. We'll have a boardroom in there for the sport people, the clubs. They could have their meetings in there. They could have a storage area because we don't have storage area for the clubs where they have it all over the places. So we could, you know, taekwondo, they could be in there doing their exercise. So it's a big space in there. So if we get it for $1, and if we get it for the government to renovate it, I can't see why not. Why we can't get it and we could use it and use it for the sports people. And that's the way I feel. Thank you.
Okay. Is everyone tired yet? Oh.
It's great to get all this, all these buildings and everything, but we need to look after them. I just went and used the ladies' washroom, not one locker works in there to lock the door. So if we're gonna acquire all this stuff, we need to make sure we look after them. And also if you ever drive down the back alleys in this town, it amazes me. I moved back here 15 years ago, and I couldn't believe the garbage that was in back alleys and how many yards that were, that all they needed was some paint on the houses. So just do the simple things first, everything else will follow.
Right.
So everybody's talking about social programs and what we can bring to the community, but you're absolutely right. We have to take care of it. So again, on the other side of that coin is funding. And I spoke to one of the business owners in town, and he said the reason he hasn't renovated his property, the reason he hasn't cleaned it up is because he doesn't want his tax incentives to go up. His tax base, he doesn't want his property tax to go up, right? And I see no reason that we can't lock his property tax in for say 3 years. And on year 4, his assessment goes up and he pays a new tax rate. It doesn't cost the town a penny. You know, for the next 3 years, we collect what we would have collected. And on year 4, we get to collect more. Lots of ideas like that, BryceShunter.com. But we need to think about both sides of that coin because the social programs are wonderful, but we got to also talk about how we're going to fund them. There's a balance to be had there.
Yeah. Young man.
What would, what do you believe council's role? What do you believe council's role in submitting or setting policy versus interfering with administration? What do you believe council's role is in setting policy versus interfering with administration?
Someone's got to bite on that. There we go.
I will if my mic lets me. I will. I think it's important, for the success of any organization or board structure in our town. Essentially, the council as a board to see their role as like sort of setting the tone and the vision for the town, and not to interfere with the day-to-day operation of the administration. We're setting the direction. And so I don't think it's healthy for a council to be perhaps giving one-to-one feedback outside of our council meetings or our directives or our votes on decisions to our administration. I think there's proper channels that we should follow. And I think, again, our role is to set the vision and the goal and to ensure that they are being achieved. But I think in order to maintain a cohesive sort of working group, essentially, that we need to understand and respect our roles and the boundaries. And so I think it's important that we don't cross those, and to realize that the administration, they're people who are passionate about being public servants and that they're professionals in their roles. And there's a reason that they're in their roles. And so I think should be a more collaborative role than a top-down sort of mentality. Thank you for your question.
Okay, it's getting past my bedtime. I think, oh, Jesus, you know, it's you're evil.
You have 11 more minutes.
All right, we got 11 minutes.
We'll go ahead and watch. Okay, just going back to the last question there regarding the role of council in doing the policy and versus looking after administration. That the role of council, it is quite clear in the MGA, is to approve policies and procedures, or probably not policies, yes, procedures, no, and bylaws. Now, that is their responsibility, and they have only one employee to go to, so it's not going to go right, and that's the CAO. That is the only employee of town council. That's the mayor or one of the councilors or a group of mayor councilors. The CAO is the person who catches it all, and he's responsible for everybody else who works for the town. If somebody's not doing it right within the town, it's up to him to chase that person down or that person's supervisor and get that looked after. The same thing is if council is not happy with what's happening in a certain area, they have to go talk to the CAO. It's no different than if they get a complaint from the resident. And then they think, well, I've got to go talk to the bylaw officer because the bylaw officer fucked up. Fuck with an M, sorry. But it's not their job to go tell the bylaw officer what to do. And the question you should be asking first when the person who comes with a complaint is, did you take this yet to the CAO or to the bylaw officer themselves? And half the time you'll find out they never did. They just got somebody that they want to talk to, they want to get their voice heard. And therefore, if council wants to talk about it, and they talk about it amongst themselves with the CAO, and that the CAO would do his thing. It's quite simple there. It's not a matter of the council running town. Council sets the policies for it, they set the bylaws for the people of the town and how they live in the town. But that's the extent of their role. The rest of it belongs to the CAO, and he looks after the staff. Questions of that?
Thank you. Any more questions? Jeffrey. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I wanted to go back to the question about businesses, and really it's to the point of keeping it simple. First and foremost, we need an open door policy within our business community to come to council and administration. I think that's number one, is to maintain that. And second of all, I agree, it's a very, very clear cut. The MGA spells it out. Council is there for policy setting and advocacy, listening to its constituents. Administration is a lane we do not cross.
Jeff and Jerry.
Just a couple of points. My friend Herman there said that council has only one employee, the CAO. That's not quite correct. And I think that should Mr. Van Ulen be elected as mayor, he may point this out, and you are elected also, he may point this out to you also. The province of Alberta has a new handbook out that says in it, things that councilors should know. In it, it says that in most cases, you only have one employee. Council only has one employee. The town of High Prairie, in its policy handbook, says there is only one employee, and that is a CAO. But that is not a law. That is not in the MGA. That is not a law. That is the Carver principle of governance. And a lot of people, nonprofits, follow that principle of government. That's one thing I just want to mention and clarify that. The second thing is, I never did get an answer on why we didn't buy the old hospital land, as this gentleman pointed out. What hospital land was I talking about? The old hospital land. Who made the decision? But if you don't want to answer that, would you say why you won't answer that? Are you under an NDA for a sign off or something? Is there a reason why you don't want to sign it? Is to answer that? Is it just so irrelevant, that we threw away $1.5 million worth of property? We're talking about saving money here. So what's the problem here?
Anyone interested?
This is to the three councilors that didn't want to answer.
The decision to not purchase that property, in hindsight, yeah, you know what, that looks bad. I didn't know what the guys. I didn't know what the price was. I didn't, the 147,000 or whatever it was. I didn't know that number until I think it was September 12th of that year, which at that point was too late. It was gone. A lot of these discussions took place at what we call committee of the whole meetings, where council meets as a whole, but it's not a council meeting. Unfortunately for me, these meetings were held on Saturdays when I was working. So I wasn't privy to what was being said. Sharon, I told you this when you called me about it, right? So I didn't know that the number was 147 or whatever the heck it was. But as was mentioned by somebody else as well, council shouldn't be in the business of being land barons. Now, I didn't know, I wasn't on council when it was all coming up that that was one of the previous two councils where they were talking about the town having that to develop it for town things. The only problem I would have with that particular line of thought is that everybody wants lower taxes. We all do. I do. But if we had purchased that property and put a dog park, the splash park, recreation type stuff on there, we're not generating any taxes from that. So somebody bought that for a lot of money. I can't imagine, I don't know why they're sitting on it. We don't know who it is. There's no NDA. We don't know who owns that property. I'd love to know. And whoever bought it, it is my hope that they put things like condos or apartment buildings on there and some sort of a strip mall at the front, perhaps with the highway frontage. That will generate a lot of tax revenue for the town. If we had bought it, we wouldn't have that.
Yeah, I want to say something. How much time do we have left? Okay, so I just want to wrap my part in this tonight up with, you talked about policies and the CAO is the only employee. The thing is with council, we have many bosses. The people employ us. And when stuff comes to a council member or to council, it seems like the resident has gone to the town, has gone to whoever, the bylaw, the public works, and nothing is happening. When it comes to council, it's because they haven't been heard or been dealt with. So, and what I find is We talk the talk. It's election time. Everybody's got their pitches. 2 weeks into the term, 6 months into the term, a year into the term, they forgot who put them there and who they worked for. So I just want to remind everyone running tonight that, and to the people, I know who put me, who elected me and who my bosses are, and that is the public. Thank you.
I just want to say something about the hospital land. Unfortunately, when we found out it was for sale and we found out it was offered to the town of Highbury for 140,000. So we went and we offered 200,000. So I went through Misty and to the gentleman who have it listed in GB. So the gentleman in GB talked to Misty. I was sitting there and he said, no, you gotta go more because it's listed for 500,000. So we changed our offer and we put 500,000. All of a sudden was accepted and everything. And Misty will tell everybody it was something happened. There's something played in this one. So anyway, it went to a second stage. God knows what that means, second stage. Second stage, that's mean another real estate sell it. And they sold it for 1.1 million. So we dig to find out who have the names and who's the names. Well, you gotta know this is our lawyer, our town lawyer. And I'm surprised about the councillors, why they don't brought him to the table and say, who's with you? Who bought this land with you? You're our lawyer. Yeah, that's a conflict of interest. But our town lawyer, he's the one who bought the property. Because I phoned him and he said to me, you calling me? And I said, yeah. And he said, what, do you want to buy some land? He told me. I said, you're gonna be kidding me. I said, 11 acres, do the math, about 49,000 an acre. So if we go, you paid 1.7, what do you want, 150, 200,000 for the acre? You gotta be kidding me. I said, I could smell a rat in here. And I said, you are the lawyer of the town. You should tell us who's the people involved in this one. Until now, he won't say nothing. But that's the story behind that land, you guys. And I have all the papers to prove it. And the way the plan, we want to do it, because I was planning for the seniors. I want to put a park across from the seniors, tables and chairs and everything. I also want to put a slush park. We want to put outdoor skating rink, and we want to build senior homes in the area that way. And in the front, we're going to put little stores, and in the middle will be an apartment. Would have been just beautiful design for the town, and a plan to have a big, huge Christmas tree. You know, for Christmas, the senior will come and walk in there. They'll have fun. Something for the town, to give something to the town. That was the dream. I could even put that letter, I'll give it to Chris in South Eastern News, and he could put that letter right in the paper to see what exactly we're planning to do there. Thank you, and that's what happened. You guys go after the lawyer of the town of Highbury and you'll find out.
Time's up. It's 9:30. Thanks for coming, by the way. I do live in High Prairie. If you don't believe me, ask Noella. And if you don't believe her, be careful. She's got 5 sons. And they're very protective of her. And anybody, I'm getting requests for posters on lawns and that. Please give your addresses to Noella. Thank you very much. And I gotta tell you, I am impressed by the number of people running for council.
Well, I think Dan stole my thunder on that
Thank
one.
you, and I want to thank the people, and I want to thank all the councillors. And then, yes, you spent lots of time in Jussal, and then you were left High Prairie for more than 20 years, and you know that. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're calling it a day. Thanks for coming. Remember to vote often. Don't forget your $5. Peace officers are at the door.
Yeah. Yeah.